Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Noor Fatma Wali and I am the student of the foundation level at the Rehan School Lahore campus. Today I am going to talk with Maya on the topic air, breathing life into language. So let's start.
Hey there.
Hello Maya, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm also fine. I'm gonna ask some questions. So my first question is, what does the word air mean?
Air is something we totally take for granted until it's gone. In the simplest sense, it's the invisible mixture of gases, mostly nitrogen and oxygen, that surrounds the earth. But it's also about that feeling of openness, like when you get some fresh air to clear your head. Does that cover it, or were you thinking of something more specific?
Okay, so where did the word air originate?
Wait, just the letter L? Or are you talking about a specific word that starts with L?
Air.
No worries. Take your time.
I'm talking about air.
Got it. We're back to air. It actually comes from the Old French air, which traces back to the Latin air, and even further back to the Greek air, meaning lower atmosphere. It's one of those words that's stayed pretty consistent across a lot of languages because, well, we all breathe it.
Okay, so my next question is, how has the meaning of air evolved over
I'm
time?
all That's an interesting way to put it. Since it's such a basic part of life, the meaning hasn't shifted nearly as much as a word like nice or terrible has. It's mostly stayed the same, though we've added a lot of metaphors over time, like using it to describe a vibe or the air of mystery someone has. Do you feel like the way we talk about air has changed?
Okay, so why is air essential for the life on Earth?
Oh, absolutely. Without it, our cells wouldn't get the oxygen they need to produce energy, and everything would just shut down in minutes. It's basically the fuel for our bodies.
Okay, so what is air made of?
My letter? I'm not sure I follow. Do you mean like a favorite letter of the alphabet or something else?
What is air made of?
It's a cocktail of gases, mostly nitrogen, about 78%, and oxygen, about 21%. The rest is a tiny mix of argon, carbon dioxide, and a bit of water vapor. It's kind
Okay,
of wild that the thing we breathe most is actually nitrogen, not oxygen.
yeah, you're right. So, okay, so how do humans depend on air for survival?
Same way everyone does. Every human body, regardless of gender, needs that oxygen to keep the brain and heart functioning. It's the one thing we're all completely equal on.
Okay, so how does air support plants and animals?
It's all about the respiratory system. Animals have different ways of doing it. Mammals use lungs, fish use gills to pull oxygen out of the water, and some insects just breathe through tiny holes in their sides. But the goal is the same: get oxygen into the bloodstream to power their muscles and organs.
Okay, so what role does air play in Earth's atmosphere?
Hey, no need to apologize. You're all good. What's on your mind?
I said, what role does air play in Earth's atmosphere?
That's a bit of an unexpected angle. Think about things like wind instruments, flutes, trumpets, saxophones. They're literally just air shaped into music. And at festivals, you've got the massive balloons, the wind catching the flags, and even the way sound carries across an open field. It's basically the medium that makes the whole experience audible and visual. Does that make sense?
Okay, so why can't life as we know it exist without air?
Because air isn't just for breathing, it also protects us. The atmosphere blocks most of the radiation from the sun and keeps the planet from being a frozen wasteland or a scorching oven. Without that layer, we'd be exposed to the vacuum of space, and basically everything would just evaporate or freeze instantly.
Okay, so how did ancient civilizations understand the concept of air?
I think you're touching on something huge there. Early civilizations probably didn't think of air as a concept in the way we do now as science. It was more likely something they felt: the wind, the storm, the breath of a god. It's funny how we went from seeing it as a divine force to understanding it as a mix of nitrogen and oxygen.
Okay, so why was air considered one of the classical elements?
Wait, one of the classical animals? I think you might mean the classical elements like
Yes,
earth, air,
elements.
fire, and water.
Yes, elements.
Right, that makes way more sense. Those four elements were the foundation of how ancient philosophers, especially the Greeks, tried to explain everything in the universe. Air was seen as the element of the mind and communication, representing the things that are light, invisible, and always moving. It was the bridge between the physical earth and the heavens.
Okay, or how do different cultures describe air in their traditions?
Let me see. I'm curious if they have a specific folk belief or just a poetic way of seeing it, but it turns out they have some pretty specific views. For one, there's a real cultural aversion to drafts, what they call couronne d'air, with some people believing they can actually make you sick. Then you've got the lullabies, those air kisses on the cheek for greetings. It's a funny mix of seeing air as something that can be dangerous if it's a draft, but also as a way to show affection. Have you ever tried that kind of greeting?
What symbolic meanings are associated with the air?
Depending on who you ask, air can mean a lot of different things. Symbolically, it's often tied to intellect, freedom, and the spirit because it's invisible and unbound. Then you've got the more literal meanings like the atmosphere or the wind. And in a more social sense, like when someone has an air of confidence, it's about the vibe they project. Which one of those resonates with you more?
Okay, so how does air influence weather patterns?
I'm not sure I follow. Are you talking about patterns in nature, like wind currents, or maybe patterns in how we use the word air in conversation?
How does air influence weather patterns?
That's a bit of a chemistry question. Air and fuel are like a team. You need both to create fire. When they mix and ignite, they release energy as heat and light, which is how car engines work or how a campfire burns. If you don't have enough air, the fire just smothers and goes out. Does that make sense?
Okay, so what causes wind to form?
Wait, the back valve? I'm a little lost. What are we talking about?
What causes
A car?
wind to form?
It's all about pressure differences. High pressure areas push air toward low pressure areas. Think of it like a balloon. When you let go of the nozzle, the air rushes out to where there's more room. It's basically the atmosphere trying to find a balance.
Okay, so how does air pressure affect daily life?
Think of it as the weight of the air above you. Even though we can't feel it, the atmosphere is actually pressing down on everything all the time. It's basically just gravity pulling those gas molecules toward the earth.
Why is air important for sound transmission?
Um, I'm a little confused. Are you talking about airing as in broadcasting a show or maybe something technical with a car's transmission?
Why is air important for sound transmission?
That's a big jump from air pressure. AI is great for self assessment because it can spot patterns in your work or behavior that you might be too close to see. It's like having a mirror that doesn't just show you how you look, but tells you where you're leaning or where you're repeating the same mistake. Do you use any tools like that for your studies?
What's the relationship between air and climate?
India's relationship with climate is a huge, complicated story. It's a place where the monsoon rains literally dictate the rhythm of life, the economy, and the food supply for millions. But lately, it's become a front line for climate change, dealing with everything from extreme heat waves to unpredictable flooding. It's a high stakes balance between trying to grow and develop while protecting a massive population from a changing environment.
Okay, so how do scientists study the atmosphere?
High tech gear. They've got weather balloons that drift up into the sky to collect data, satellites that watch the planet from space, and specialized planes that can fly right through different layers of the atmosphere to take samples. It's a massive operation to figure out what's happening up there.
Okay, so what are the main layers of the Earth's atmosphere?
Wait, the arcs? I
Earth's
think you might mean the layers of the got
uh,
it, Earth.
hmm,
Since we're talking about the atmosphere, we've got the troposphere where we live and breathe, the stratosphere where planes fly, and then the mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere as we head out into space. It's basically like a giant onion of gas protecting the planet.
okay, so what are the major sources of air
Thanks.
pollution?
Most of it comes from things we build and burn. Burning fossil fuels for cars and power plants is the big one, plus industrial factories and agricultural waste. Even things like wildfires and volcanic eruptions add to it, but the human side is where the real damage is happening. Do you live in an area where the smog is pretty noticeable?
Okay, so why is clean air important for communities?
Because it's literally the foundation of health. When people can breathe clean air, there's less asthma, fewer heart issues, and kids grow up healthier.
Okay.
Beyond that, it just makes a community feel more livable and
Hmm.
vibrant when you aren't dodging smog
Hmm.
every time you step outside.
How can air quality be measured?
They use sensors that monitor specific pollutants, things like particulate matter, nitrogen dioxide, and ozone. You've
Okay.
probably seen the Air Quality Index or AQI on weather apps. It
Okay, so
basically boils all that.
what steps can people
Step.
take to improve air quality?
There are a few things that make a huge difference on a personal level. Using public transit or biking instead of driving cuts down on those emissions. Then there's planting more trees and creating green spaces in cities, which act like giant filters for the air. And honestly, just moving away from burning coal and oil for power is the biggest lever we have. Do you think people where you live are open to those kinds of changes?
Okay, so my next question is
I'm ready when you are.
uh, what role do
What's up?
forests play in maintaining healthy air?
They're basically the lungs of the planet. They take in carbon dioxide and pump out the oxygen we need to survive through photosynthesis. Plus, They filter out dust and other pollutants, keeping the air much crisper. Without them, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Ever spend time in a forest and notice how the air just feels different?
Okay, so why is oxygen important in the atmosphere?
Because it's the spark that keeps us going. Most living things need it to break down food into energy. Without oxygen in the atmosphere, the chain of life would basically just stop. Plus, it helps create the ozone layer, which is our shield against the sun's harshest rays. Does that make sense?
Okay, so how does carbon dioxide affect the environment?
It's a bit of a double edged sword. In small amounts, it's essential for plants to grow. But since we've been pumping so much of it into the air, it's acting like a heavy blanket, trapping heat and causing the planet to warm up. That's where all the weird weather and rising sea levels come from.
Okay, so
I'm with you. What's the next one?
why have humans always been fascinated by the sky and air?
It's easy to see why. There's something about the vastness of it all that just makes you feel small in the best way possible. What's the thing about the sky that you find most fascinating?
Okay, so what are the some common idioms that use the word air?
Oh, there's so many. You've got up in the air when something isn't decided yet, or walking on air when you're incredibly happy. Then there's clear the air for when you finally have that honest conversation to get rid of tension. It's funny how we use air to describe everything from confusion to total bliss.
Okay, so why does the word air have multiple meanings?
It's because air is so pervasive. It's everywhere and invisible, which makes it the perfect canvas for metaphors. We use it for the literal stuff like the atmosphere, but also for things that feel light or intangible, like a person's demeanor or a sudden change in mood. Most words that describe things we can't see or touch end up doing the same thing.
Okay, so what role does air play in communication?
Literally, it's the medium that carries every sound we make. Without air, sound waves would have nowhere to travel, so it would be complete silence. Then you've got the social side, like airing your grievances or airing a show. It's all about taking something hidden and making it public. Do you
Okay,
think we talk too much these days or not enough?
how has technology improved our understanding of air?
It's a complete game changer. We've gone from guessing what was happening based on what we could see to actually being able to peek inside a living cell or map the entire human genome. Tools like high powered microscopes, AI, and satellites let us see patterns and connections that would have been impossible to spot a century ago. It's turned biology from a descriptive hobby into precise science.
Okay, so why is
I'm not a sir, but I'll.
protecting the atmosphere important for future generations?
I think I'm losing the thread a bit here. Are you talking about specific products like filters or technology that we use to protect the environment from those fluctuations?
No, my last question is what lessons can we learn from the history of air?
That's a heavy way to end the session. I think the biggest lesson is that fear usually stems from the unknown. Once we actually start studying something, like how we've gone from fearing the wind as a god to understanding air pressure, the fear turns into curiosity. It shows that knowledge is the best cure for anxiety. Does that feel right to you?
Okay, Maya, thank you very much.
Well, that
That was very
quite
helpful.
the alphabet, the atmosphere, and see what?
See you next time. Goodbye.
Catch you later. Take care.